and Yahoo Travel and a bunch of really smart people. And they had a search tool that was basically pulled from all different sentiment search, so you could plan vacations around holidays, romantic stuff, that kind of thing. And so they had these great pages, but Google didn't think they were algorithmically sound. They were like thin, kind of even the panda kind of thing, right? But users liked them when they got there. So in situations like that, we went out and helped them establish a blog network that wrote about travel stuff that kind of surrounded the site, and we pushed that stuff in social media, and when appropriate, that content linked back into those pages on the main ships. We used the content marketing to build the kind of traction and ultimately links that got Google to change its mind and rank that kind of stuff. So, and that's the kind of thing that we're moving into a lot now, because we can do that separate of their IT infrastructure.
And it happens fast.
And then we manage the whole thing. It's our writers. We run the blog. We do the SEO on it. And so we find we're building a lot more creative
and if the client
things
goes,
like that.
It's their blog or it's your blog?
It depends on the contract. So we're going to be building more of our company-owned projects. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, at the end of the day, we will be somewhat of a media company that way and have properties that we own and run on our own that we sell advertising. You know, Demand Media is like the big kind of giant of that model. So they actually run Livestrong, and they actually have eHow, and they do that. Their content, you know, a more micro-focused, hopefully better from the consulting side, but that's an appealing model to me. Because there's more value down the road in properties than there is services, right? You hit a cap, and plus you can do more things.
You mean?
And potential to sell your company, you know, valuation, things like that. So
because you have some assets that you can show.
Yeah, it's the lowest multiples you get is on a pure service business, right? Because your clients could go away and then you don't have it.
But then,
assets,
if that was the case, if people were critical regarding that, then the agencies would never be sold. So there are usually setups, you know, there are lockup periods, you know, earn-out periods, and so on. So, but let's jump somewhere else. You seem like a really calm person, and I cannot accept that. So I want to hear about one issue that really pisses you off in the search business. But I want to really, you know, I want to see the angry side of you. You cannot be that calm and that laid back. I mean, there have to be things.
It's funny, you know, over the years
that make you boil.
I've been angry a lot of stuff. I guess my biggest beef really is Google's predatory aggregation approach to stuff, the way they're cannibalizing specific industries. Like, I've worked in several industries that have...
Well, basically anything that's in comparison business is getting killed sooner or later.
Many years worked in the States with companies like BizRate and Pricer, so I know the comparison shopping space very well.
Comparison shopping or travel aggregators, anything that aggregates, they will want to kill.
Exactly. So basically what Google has done is initially... I think it's the greatest bait and switch that's ever happened in the States. So they came out initially and said, hey, our mission is to organize the world's information, and we want to send you to that great information as quick as possible. And we went, great, we love you. So we went out and became brand evangelists, and I got my mother to switch her home page to Google.
Oh, my God.
I'll
slap you.
Yeah, I know. It's like I would actually go around to my...
Go back and switch it to somewhere else, like to Yahoo.
I call them my NIFs, my non-internet friends, right?
Okay. NIFs?
NIFs, N-I-F, yeah. So when you work in this business, everybody has them. You have your... And they don't really get what you do. But I would go around to all those friends and say, you got to check this out. Because it was so much better, and I believe what they said. So now that they've grown, and now that they have all the eyeballs, they've switched from our mission is to organize the world's information to our mission is to own the world's information, right? So they're going out and cannibalizing, and they use the search engine to unfairly compete in other spaces because they don't have to start from scratch, build it, and gain the organic traction. They just instantly are at the top. And comparison shopping was the best one because they started burying them for queries. They changed it up to where only like review sites ranked for products.
So where's that all leaving us? I mean, we don't have a chance. They cannot be stopped. And antitrust will not happen, and it will not be fast enough. Antitrust also don't go all the way. So what does
I agree that it probably won't be fast enough. I'm not.
In 4 years they'll pay a couple billion of fees, and then they'll continue.
What I would like to see come out of it is basically that you can't use the engine to. You can go buy whoever you want, and you can jump in a market and compete, but you shouldn't be able to instant domination and destroy good companies with a lot of great people because you've decided that the only aggregator in the world that's valid as you. And they are actually doing this. They're going directly to, they're bypassing, and some of these are well-established middle, in the online education space is an area where Google's made pushes. They went and had a summit with schools in New York and basically cut the middle guys out of the conversation and said, you don't need us. I think you're going to see it in the States in real estate very soon.
Yes.
Google MLS.
In the credit cards,
mortgage rates now, they're
travel, anything.
Right. And so that worry, and that it's interesting. One of the biggest reasons that I'm pushing our company to go in the applications and that kind of thing is that even though I'm a search guy, I tell clients all the time, start working on ideas to connect and engage your clients away from Google, right? If you can get all your users searching your site from an app, then you're not dependent. And start building models that will allow you to survive if your space is the next space. More branding, become a brand, being that organic generic keyword kind of company.
Yep.
It's just not a long-term thing. Because
generic keyword, you don't need like a keyword as in a product, but like a brand name, like.
Yeah, even like there's a lot of companies that focus more on domains that match keywords, and they don't really build like a name like a Yahoo or a Google or a name that's not a real word. There's a lot of value in that. Doing stuff to generate more brand-related searches to establish yourself. You just have to start making that move because, like you said,
but I really I must say I like your angry mode. It's still so reflected and stuff. I think I have to step on your toe really hard, and then I can see you're angry.
Over the years, I've certainly been more outspoken before. I used to do a session at SES years ago. Danny Sullivan put together, and it was called "The 10 Things Search Engines Do That Piss Me Off."
And you couldn't name 10?
And there was 10. It was back in a time when they were doing all kinds of shady stuff. When they had paid inclusion, and Ink2Me was running around targeting people for monetization. They were kicking people out of the database and then knocking on the door saying, hey, you miss your traffic? Come sign up. Right. And I just had a lot of experience in 1 year of all that stuff, and Danny was doing this panel on standards. And I said, you know what? They need standards too. We're not all the crooks. You should limit. I started telling him these things I'd experienced that year, and he was like, hey, do a panel on that. I'm like, all right. So I have been far more flamboyant and outspoken, but I have to be a little more. I'm a boss
got you to
now.
calm down?
People that pay attention to what I say, and
so it's the new role that gets you calm.
Yeah, you got to be
like the solid rock, so everybody can lean onto you.
Exactly. I got to assure my
so many great pictures in this one podcast.
Yeah, it's like
I think I have to cut it in half, so it's not too much at one time.
Part two. Yeah, it's always assuring my partners I'm not going to be a loose cannon, and but you mellow over it somewhat. I don't know if jaded's the word. There's some things you grow to accept because it's not worth the anger, and you just refocus on new stress. That's the same thing. It's like I'm the organic SEO guy, and I'm out creating iPad apps and things like that.
Yeah, but what do you tell to people, who say, is there going to be SEO at all in 5 years because Google is hunting and fighting against everything, and they devalue links, and you know these guys? Mm-hmm. You don't
and here's my thing is like I love the fact that Google's getting better on that stuff, and it keeps the job creative. And we were having this discussion last night and this is what really Facebook is latching onto, is that SEO to me is more of a mindset and a style of. It's a very analytical. Like people that are SEOs are people that love to be okay with. I don't know how it works, but I'll figure it out, right? Because that's
like reverse engineering.
Yes,
you have to enjoy it.
It's not everybody has it. You can be great marketer, but that mindset. So that mindset applies to anything on the web. So I know a lot of. A kid that worked at that Uptake. I call him a kid. He works at Uptake, and now he works at Facebook. He's brilliant. Young guy who loves that kind of thing, and now he's at a place like Facebook where he can apply that to not only just search engine stuff but everything they do. And that's my thing. It's like I might not wake up every day and go I do social media, but I can sit down and figure out what would be a cool social campaign because I can approach it the same way I used to do 15 years ago with an algorithm that just trial and error, testing, all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of that will apply to all aspects of the web, and that will never go away. But it is all blended now. So you can't live in a bubble anymore. That's my biggest thing. Doing a talk at PubCon this year, and I did it last year too, but it's kind of like an hour of just me reflect. This old guy Greg talking about
how it used to be
lecturing the little whippersnappers, the young kids saying,
getting that finger up in the air and going, you don't know what I have seen.
Just trying to tell them, like, you need to go out and test. We have what I call second generation regurgitation, like these young regurgitation. Like,
okay, I don't know
that's
that
a nice
word.
way to say vomit, right? Where they're just tossing up what they've gotten from somebody else. They didn't learn it themselves.
Okay.
So they read a blog,
and then they think it is
their
that
knowledge
way.
of SEO is what they read on the blog, and they never went out and challenged.
Is there another truth?
Yeah, and and I always tell them, like, even the best bloggers, I mean, you just take what they say and go, and run with that, and go do some tests and see if that is true. Is it true in all spaces? You'll find out a lot of neat stuff, but validate your own thoughts and prove them to yourself before you go out telling them as the gospel to a client, right?
It's the gospel to a client.
Yeah, it's kind of a lost art form in a lot of ways, because everything's much different. The social networking, coming to these things, I'm better as an SEO because of my personal connections throughout the world, knowing very, very bright people, having great relationships with them. So when I'm seeing something I can't figure out, I can find somebody who's at a higher spot. I can call people that run, and they'll tell me, right? And you can't do that on Facebook.
Well, thanks so much. I think this is probably the longest podcast I've ever done.
That.
No. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's full of good information and fun, things to think about. Thanks a lot.
For having me.
OM Report and Andre Alpar would like to thank you for your attention. You can get more episodes on www.OMReport.com.